Hey guys, my name is Dante. I'm a computer science student from San Diego State University, and today I will be presenting the development of augmented reality. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Leading with a brief history of augmented reality. Augmented reality can actually be traced all the way back to the late 1960s, with the first augmented reality head-mounted display, or HMD, making its existence in 1968. This was the courtesy of computer scientist and Harvard professor Ivan Sutherland. He named the creation the Sword of Damocles, which I might be pronouncing wrong. But both augmented and virtual realities were considered to be the same concept or idea during the early stages of their developments. Then, in 1968, Sutherland's creation actually helped introduce the split up of the two ideas. In 1974, a laboratory solely meant for the research and development of artificial reality was built, and it was named the Video Place. This was built at the University of Connecticut by artist and computer researcher Myron Kruger. I actually have a really cool video here that I'm going to pull up for a second so you guys can see what I mean. It's not really any audio, but it's pretty simple. So you can see the users interacting with the virtual objects to type. And they also can do some other pretty cool stuff here, like finger painting. And then we have some other cool stuff. Generating shapes based on boundaries. And then this one's called critter interaction, which is really cool. Alright, so going back to the presentation, the term augmented reality wasn't even coined until 1990 actually by a Boeing researcher named Tim Cottle. In 1992, a researcher in the United States Air Force Armstrong's Research Lab named Louis Rosenberg made the Virtual Fixtures augmented reality system. This was actually one of the earliest first functioning AR systems to come into play. And its intended use was actually to help virtually guide and direct machinery when training USAF pilots in safe flight procedures. Then, in 1994, the entertainment industry actually got a little taste of augmented reality too, when writer and producer Julie Martin made the theater production called Dancing in Cyberspace. And this is actually really cool because it featured acrobats interacting with projected digital objects, which in most plays or productions is pretty unheard of. Then, in 1998, the first live NFL game that used the virtual yellow yard marker was broadcasted by Sports Vision. And if you're a little confused by what I'm talking about here, you can look at the little GIF on the right top corner. And this technology has actually advanced a lot to become what is used today by NFL in most of their live games, if not all. And a fun fact is, many don't even know that these additional graphics are implemented via augmented reality technology. Then, in 1999, NASA's X-38 spacecraft featured a vision system that they had created, which helped them in navigating their test flights by displaying map data virtually onto the pilot's screen. In 2000, the open source software library that some of us have probably heard of, called AR Toolkit, is created by Hirokazu Kato, and this assisted new developers in creating their own AR programs. And this actually utilizes video tracking in order to display virtual graphics over the physical world. Now, zooming ahead to 2013, Volkswagen came out with the MARTA application. And MARTA stands for Mobile Augmented Reality Technical Assistance. And the cool thing about this app is that it actually helped technicians by giving them step-by-step repair instructions from their service manuals. Now, this form of AR was really important, especially because this type of technology would set a precedent and a model for future use by different companies and industries. It would also help different companies guide and teach different processes when training their employees. So, let's talk about some of the current or recent uses of augmented reality. Back in 2014, Google actually introduced their Google Glass technology, which consists of sleek AR glasses that can easily be worn to create an immersive virtual experience. And then, in 2016, Google struck again with their HoloLens. And the HoloLens is actually a high-functioning head-mounted display unit that runs on Windows 10 and is pretty much a head-mounted display PC. And the cool thing about this is it actually lets users make up their own augmented reality experience by scanning their physical environment and allowing them to modify their surroundings with virtual objects. Then, in 2017, IKEA puts out their AR app named IKEA Place. And this is a way to market their products more easily and effectively. Now, this app allowed for users to preview what kind of different furnitures and decor might look good in their house via their phone camera and screen. And today, we actually have new products like the Magic Leap 1, which is a wearable computer that implements powerful graphics in order to create a really strong sense of immersion for the user. This actually introduces a really cool thing called hand tracking. So this means that it can actually be used with a handheld device or without the handheld device. And this is a game changer because the less mess, the more fun. So let's head on into some hardware development stuff. I'm going to cover some generally required hardware components that augmented reality needs. These are a display unit, a processor unit, a general input device or devices such as sensors, cameras, and microphones. Some examples of some display units would be like your typical monitor, a head-mounted display, glasses, or phone and tablet screens. Some examples of input devices would be accelerometers, touch recognition devices, speech recognition devices, gyroscopes, GPS, and eye tracking devices. So, looking back at where it all started, with Sutherland's Sword of Damocles, that's a hard one to say, in the late 1960s, I mean, although it was groundbreaking technology at the time, this was, bulky, ugly, heavy, and pretty impractical stuff. I mean, the device took up a lot of space and actually needed to be mounted from the ceiling just because of how heavy and awkward it was to use. And it was not by any means going to be used for mass production or commercialized for use by the average consumer, but still, pretty impractical. Now, looking at the past 5 to 10 years, with the development of the things that I just talked about prior, like Volkswagen's MARTA application, Google Glass's technology, their HoloLens headset, IKEA's commercial phone app, and the new Magic Leap 1 wearable computer, we can actually see that the hardware requirements to use AR have become more and more compact, physically speaking, and practical for both production and day-to-day purposes. We can now use our smartphones and tablets, or simply put on like a 1 pound headset if we wanted to use some AR technology today. Not to mention, it's also a lot more stylish to wear a small headset or glasses than an entire rig on your head, which might make you look like a cyborg of something of the sort. Cool. Now let's talk about some performance development. Checking out how the performance has changed over time, Sutherland's HMD system was producing images simply such as the one on the GIF presented on the right. So, to do this, he had a system which was comprised of 6 different parts: a computer, a headset, a head position sensor, a clipping divider, which is actually needed to produce a true perspective projection via division, and a matrix multiplier, and also a vector generator. So as you can see, it shows how a lot of resources were required in order to perform some pretty simple tasks early on during AR's development. Then, after we had seen Kruger's video place, we can see that by the mid-70s, augmented reality technology had advanced in such a way that users could interact with digital objects in real time. This was a huge milestone for what it would become in the following years of development, and what we see now. And in the 90s, with the United States Air Force's virtual fixtures being the first fully functioning augmented reality system, it was also one of the first cases of physical, not to be confused with user, and digital entities interacting with one another. And this is also known as mixed reality. Then, looking at the 2010s and today, we have applications such as IKEA Place, which we talked about before, which can generate really good virtual images and overlay them at high frames per second solely using the camera and technology distilled within a tablet or smartphone device. Pretty incredible stuff, to be honest. Furthermore, from looking at this graph, we can see that the accuracy of object detection by the most advanced AI systems, according to the respective year of course, had exceeded human performance around late 2014. It should be noted that this data is the result from the large-scale visual recognition challenge competition dated back in 2014. So, to sum it up, AR technology has really come a long, long way in the last 50 plus years, which really isn't that much time if you think about it. And regarding the future, I mean, with companies such as Google, Apple, and various ambitious startup companies competing to make the hottest new AR technology to hit the market, we honestly have a really big selection of exciting things probably that are ahead of us. And who knows, maybe one day we'll be able to use the HoloLens or something similar to speak to dead celebrities. That'd be kind of creepy, but it's definitely possible. And that is all. So thank you guys for listening. I appreciate your time. I really hope I helped you guys out in terms of understanding how far we've come with augmented reality. And here are my references. Thanks again.